Stacy, will you monitor the questions? We can't get into our
Yeah, somehow we're not
laptops.
on.
If there's any questions from the community?
I'm gonna be doing the slideshow.
Okay. It's,
Well, if somebody could log us in, we'll do it.
yeah, we'll do it
Just
ourselves.
like that.
Yeah.
You know, if it's idle for a while, it goes off.
Thank you. Thank you, Stacy. Please.
I was talking about your new screen.
Don't have me laugh.
About your new screen.
Yeah.
It's gonna make me laugh. How's your new screen? I love it. I don't know how I work without it.
All right. Okay.
I don't know how I did it without. So happy, I am. I know. 'Cause I
Well,
see
welcome
my
everyone
kids.
to the Board of Education Special Meeting, Third Informal Budget Workshop this Thursday, February 2nd, 2023 at 7 p.m. I need a motion to convene the special meeting and workshop at 7 p.m.
Motion?
Motion by Julie Burgos. I need a second. Second by Cindy Seferi. All in favor? Aye. So moved. I'd like to ask everyone to please rise for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we're going to begin this evening with our special recognition. Rich?
Thank you, Ms. Felix. It is, this is really going to be a great story. It's about a terrific cadet who is, received wonderful honors. But I'm actually not going to speak about it too long. I'm going to invite the Sergeant Wayne Hanna up to do the introductions and let us know about the exciting news.
I normally don't use the mic, so thank you, Ms. Felix, Mr. Lochner, and the board, and everybody that's here this evening. Most importantly, Christian and his mom. As I tell people, it starts at the kitchen table. You know, we just reap the benefits. Any cadet will tell you that I'm a numbers guy. And 4 years ago, Christian started in 9th grade at East Middle, right? East Middle, and decided to take junior ROTC in 10th grade. I watched this young man grow and expand his horizons. Dr. Doolin said he's a shining star, and he is, but in the universe of Brentwood, New York, okay? Christian is the first one to be selected for the J100. And what the J100 is, in junior ROTC, there are 125,000 cadets worldwide. There's over almost 1,000 units. Out of the 125,000, there's about 20 to 25,000 seniors. Not everybody is qualified to put in for the J100. Christian met the requirements. It started off with his grades, obviously, being an AP pretty much in every course. And he'll say no, but he's modest. Along with college courses he's taken. He also shepherded as an 11th grader for the first time, and there's a lot of firsts Christian has. He shepherded the academic team down to Washington, D.C. to compete against 40 other branches of junior ROTC programs, okay? This year, me becoming the SASE, it was important for me because we are a college prep program. I get to talk about aerospace, leadership, and health and wellness, but college is where it should be. Put in, and Christian made it through the first round, made it to the top 200, which is pretty good, but he wanted the top 100. Christian wants to go to MIT. He wants to be a second lieutenant in the United States Space Force, okay? And that's his goal. They say behind every good man's a great woman, and I'm definitely no different, right? My wife, Margaret, has been with me since we were here in high school, long ago and far away when I had blonde hair. And normally the regional director contacts the SASE of the program. However, he called my house phone for whatever reason. And Margaret was home, and she's pretty quick. And she says, does this have to do with Christian? He goes, well, I can't say, because it was unofficial at the time. She says, well, I will get in touch with Wayne, and he will call you tomorrow. And I called him, and he says, yes, he is in the top 100. So the J100 scholarship, what does it do? Full ride to any university or college, wherever it is, as long as they have an ROTC program or a detachment, which MIT does. And I believe yesterday he finished having an interview with Harvard, and there's also a detachment there. So it's a full ride. That's the first part.
That is awesome.
It also allows a $10,000 for additional labs and stuff, and also a monthly stipend. The program was actually started 8 years ago by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Goldfein. And like I said, Christian's the first one of many, hopefully, that I look forward to standing in front of you for the next few years, applauding them. So again, it's not me. I want to introduce Christian.
I want to thank everybody for this recognition, but most importantly, I want to recognize the work that you all do for our community and for our schools. And I just want you all to know that I'm just one of the many people in the ROTC program that had the opportunity to take this and that had the qualifications. And I just hope that you continue to extend your support to our unit, because there are many more like me and even better than me. And thank you so much for your support for our unit.
Wow. So, Christian, how did the interview go yesterday, Christian?
It was all right.
So you had an interview with MIT yesterday?
It was Harvard University. I had my interview with MIT earlier this year, but it was wonderful. They were all great people, and I sincerely hope that they'll consider me.
Wow, that is just incredible.
Thank you, sir.
Incredible.
Thank
I know the board
Yes.
has a...
So in recognition of your achievement, we would like to extend this award to you, and it reads, in recognition of being the first Brentwood recipient of the J100 AFJ ROTC Scholarship, showing your service and dedication to the armed forces and to your community. We're so proud of you, Christian. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
ma'am. Thank you all. She doesn't want to come.
Oh, no, you have to come up. Margaret, you gotta get into it. Come on, Margaret, come on. Margaret, you're a part of it.
Is this where they're sitting?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that the camera can face.
Oh, that's cool, okay.
Sorry, I smell like fried chicken.
Don't, now I'm hungry, man. You know, I didn't have dinner. I didn't go home, I'm hungry.
I was cooking. I didn't want to leave from home without eating.
You are too good.
I tried.
Good mom. What a good mom. Right. I feel terrible. I tell my wife, actually, Emily's working.
So nice. Nice and clean. She has it.
I wrote down this stuff.
But I only printed mine.
No, you have yours and you sweat it. See, wait.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You sure?
He's got his water.
So sweet.
Okay. So,
They're moving purchasing office?
are you ready?
Oh, they're staying in it?
You guys ready? Okay. B2A, order of business. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby suspends the order of business for this meeting and this meeting only according to policy 2350. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Julie Burgos. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Maria Malave. All in favor?
Aye.
Noes, abstentions, so moved. D1A, approval for legal defense. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the following. Whereas, in accordance with the Education Law 3811 and/or Public Officers Law Section 18, as well as under any other applicable legal or insurance policy provisions, board members Robert Feliciano, G. Paula Moore, Eileen Felix, Maria Gonzalez Prescott, Julia Burgos, Simone Holder Daniel, Cynthia Seferi, Superintendent Richard Lochner, collectively Brentwood UFSD, have submitted timely written requests for legal defense and indemnification regarding a complaint in an action entitled William King Moss III, Plaintiff, against the Board of Education of the Brentwood Union Free School District, and both individually and in their official capacities, Cynthia Seferi, Robert Feliciano, G. Paula Moore, Julia Burgos, Simone Holder Daniel, Maria Gonzalez Prescott, Eileen Felix, and Richard Lochner, defendants. Whereas there are allegations in the above-mentioned legal action arising from the performance of the Brentwood UFSD's exercise of their official duties and responsibilities, and whereas this request for legal defense and indemnification is made on behalf of the individual board members, the superintendent, and on behalf of the entire Board of Education, and whereas Brentwood UFSD does not waive any rights that it may have to challenge any aspect of this legal action, including but not limited to improper service of the legal action, and now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby designates the law firm Bond, Schoenig and King, PLLC, or a law firm designated by NYSER to represent Brentwood UFSD in the above-mentioned legal action. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Cindy Seferi. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Julie Burgos. All in favor?
Aye.
Noes, abstentions, so moved. Okay. Good evening. Rhonda, how are you?
Good.
So tonight, the third informal budget workshop will be chaired by Special Services.
Thank you. Good evening, Brentwood community. My name is Rhonda Young. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Special Services, and I'm pleased to be here tonight to present our 2023-2024 department budget at this informal budget workshop. I would like to thank the Board of Education, the superintendent, cabinet, the entire Brentwood staff, and this great community for your continuous support and confidence in me and my department. I want you to know
Great.
that we're on the move
Yeah.
and we're facing the future. And if you could turn around, you could see the PowerPoint. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Our vision is to meet the academic, social, emotional, and physical needs of the students we serve, to provide students with the best possible educational programs and services, and to increase efficiency and streamline our practices, to improve post-secondary outcomes for our graduates. Our administrative team consists of myself, Ms. April Sinise, Coordinator of Special Services Secondary, Dr. Garvin Romaine, Coordinator of Special Services Elementary Department Head of Speech and Hearing, Sean Coffin, Coordinator of Health, Psychological, and Social Work, 3 assistant coordinators, Kimberly Clark, Denise Farrell, Elizabeth Sheehan. We have a nurse, a medical director, Ms. Susan Averso, administrative nurse practitioner, Ms. Helene D'Agostino, department head of special services, Ms. Ingrid Citron, and the special education transition coordinator, Karen Gross. We currently have approximately 455 staff members in our department, and that includes administrators, clericals, teachers, related service providers, nurses, support staff, and numerous contracted providers. Okay. So, according to the January enrollment figures from school-age students attending in-district programs, there are 2,557 in-district students receiving services. 58% of the students receiving services are placed in our most restrictive environment. This means that 1,483 out of the 2,557 are educated in a self-contained or special class. We would like to see that number reduced so that our children can be educated in the least restrictive environment whenever possible. Students attending our out-of-district K through 12 programs increased by 11.57%. This is due to an increase of students with autism, aggressive behaviors, elopement, social anxiety, school refusal, and depression. We are currently working with the Brentwood Teachers Association to create opportunities for teachers to receive additional training and de-escalation techniques to help address behaviors. The increase in preschool enrollment caused many preschool programs to run out of space in Nassau and Suffolk counties. As a result, we decided to reopen 4 of our early intervention classes to maintain compliance and offer our preschoolers the appropriate academic support. The total number of students served this year is 3,866 with our in-district, out-of-district, related service only, and 504 combined. The number of students we served at this time last year increased by 14%. That's 476 more students. As the number of students increase, the number of meetings we are required to conduct increase also. The total number of meetings held increased primarily due to program reviews. Most program reviews were requested to provide additional supports and services or for consideration of a change in placement to move to a more restrictive environment. From July 1st, 2022 to January 30th, 2023, we had a total of 159 new referrals. Last year, we had a total for the entire year of 254. Out of the 159 new referrals, 67 are still pending, therefore eligibility has not been determined. There was a 78.11% increase in new referrals in preschool last year from the previous year. There was also a total increase in all CPSE meetings of 64.62% due to new referrals and increased enrollment. The number of CSE and CPSE meetings combined increased by 14.32% last year. This is an increase of 610 additional meetings from the year prior. Most meetings require a minimum of 4 staff members. The percentage of 504 meetings decreased by 37.66% last year as a result of students requiring additional services being referred to CSE. Assistive technology is any equipment, software program, or product used to maintain or improve the functional capabilities of persons with disabilities. The number of assistive technology devices used in district increased by over 29.85%. We really are encouraging our students to use these devices to be more independent at accessing the curriculum.
All right, so I get the pleasure to highlight some improved and inclusive opportunities our services for students are receiving. We've advocated for sensory playgrounds and adaptive living kitchens, which have all been installed to my understanding. We're providing at-risk services in speech and counseling. So at East K and Pine Park, we have at-risk services for speech 2 days a week. We've incorporated a behavior specialist. Oh boy. We've incorporated a behavior specialist to provide support to students and staff in our elementary and UPK facilities. As Rhonda mentioned, we have expanded the assistive technology and extended school year programs, including grades 1 to 8. We purchased flexible seating district-wide in many of our classrooms, in level 3 classrooms, and as well as level 1. We installed sound-filled systems, which proved to be really phenomenal in our level 1 classes as well as our level 3 classes. We introduced the consult teacher service model at the high school. We purchased the Sunday reading system, which is a reading intervention program. A lot of our parents came to us with concerns regarding possible concerns of dyslexia or reading disabilities, so we're providing that level of support. We collaborated with the Assistant Superintendent for Secondary and the Coordinator of Music and Fine Arts to provide ungraded students at the high school with music and art elective. Next slide. In terms of improving our capacity to serve, we created 4 new positions on the table of organization. I'm proud to mention that the occupational therapy and physical therapy that was approved is working huge wonders in the elementary building. We've also increased the capacity for teacher aid and special education aid as well. We've increased our PPS staff and administrative team to improve district operations. If you haven't visited the special services building, that building has a huge turnaround. It's actually a very comfortable office space to work in. Huge lighting difference, parents are more comfortable and families alike. And we've reopened the early intervention program.
We even brought in therapy dogs to help. So we brought in the therapy dogs. You're going to have to go soon. So we brought in therapy dogs to help. Meet Rosie and Jake. A therapy dog is a dog who goes with their owner to volunteer in settings such as hospitals, nursing homes, schools. Research has shown that therapy dogs may improve social interaction, emotional regulation, and stability, anxiety, responsibility, respect, and empathy. So Rosie will be visiting our elementary classrooms and select middle school classrooms, and Jake will be visiting and participating in our IEP mandated counseling groups at the high school. Jake will also be a K-9 member of The Woods Are Calling and We Must Go, a therapeutic day trip hosted by Dr. Karen Adaki and Miss Elizabeth D. Domenico, 2 of our psychologists at the high school.
Good evening. I'm excited to talk to you about some of the initiatives we are doing with transition that we started this year and we'll be working on this year and next year. So my role here as the transition coordinator is to work with students to help them identify what their goals are and what their plans are for after they graduate high school and to help them become successful in achieving those goals. So some of those goals can be students going to college, they can be going to trade schools, straight to work, tech programs, military, or even supported employment. And there are many different ways that we do that. We work with the students individually, we work with the families, and as well as community, and take a holistic approach on how that works. So some of the things that we've been doing, the first thing that we're really excited about is that we just got approved by New York State for an employment training program. So that is where we provide opportunities for students within their last 2 years of school where they can get paid as part-time employees through New York State, and then that carries over to the year after they exit school, and they'll still get paid to do that work. And that's almost like a gentleman's agreement that we have with the community members, you know, that after that last year after they graduate, that they end up hiring them on as employees. The other things that we are doing, one of the things that we just did during Regents Week is we piloted a CDOS Option 2. That is Career Development and Occupational Studies. That is an exam where students are able to take that. They can use it as a 4+1 pathway or a 7+1 pathway towards graduation. They can use it in place of the US or global. There's different pathways that students can use that, but that is going to give students more opportunities for after they graduate high school and different opportunities to graduate. The other thing that just started this week that we're really excited about is a GED program. That is not new necessarily, but we partnered with Long Island EOC. And that is a SUNY program that runs out of Farmingdale. They have an office here in Brentwood, so it made this partnership even easier. One of the things we found was that students that go towards their GED might not see the benefits of it. So we talked to them for two things. One is to have a bilingual push-in, you know, and support while the students are going to that program. The second thing is having a career component. So they actually are having a career counselor push into that program, and they're also having like different programs that they're going to either offer while students are going or afterwards, like home health aid programs, security guard programs. They have a computer lab, they call it Attain Lab, where students can utilize that as well. The other thing that we're going to be starting next week is a BioAbilities pre-employment transition service program. They call it pre-ETS. That is for students to learn about employment, post-secondary education, advocacy skills, and the students will do that. After they meet all of the requirements, they get a $100 gift card, a Visa gift card for that. So that is a program that we partner with an agency. We're going to talk about the PAYS Lab in a minute, so I'll hold off on that. One of the other things that we're finding is that some students need to be connected to some of our agencies, some of our students that need extra support. So it has been very difficult across Long Island for some families to connect. So we are hosting what's called the CCO event. It's a care coordination organization event. We actually had all three of the organizations agree to come to Brentwood, so we're excited about that. We're going to host other schools, and that's going to be in March. We also are doing a transition fair that we are connecting with 5 districts are connecting. We're hosting it at Comac High School, but our families are going to be invited to that, and we're partnering up for that, so that should be a great event for all of our families. So a couple of other things. We're finding that we need to help our students with their post-secondary outcomes. As we said, we have a lot of students that have different options for after they graduate high school. So a couple of things keep popping up over the last year or two, one of them being manufacturing. So we have this amazing opportunity to be very close to the Hauppauge Industrial Center. So we joined HIA. which is their industrial association, which gives us access to over 500 companies. So that we have been going to, we joined that this year. I've been going to a lot of meetings. We've been having a lot of connections. So another thing that keeps coming up is apprenticeship programs. So that is an amazing opportunity that I do not think schools are tapping into. So we are going to do it. So one of the things that we're talking about is having a pre-apprenticeship program here in the school. So Ms. Young and I have a meeting that we're really excited about in a couple of weeks with a gentleman that is going to, work with us on these apprenticeship programs. So one of the things that we find is that we are looking for more diversity in education. So we are looking to possibly do a teacher aid program, pre-apprenticeship program, and our goal is to have an apprenticeship program after that. So what my vision is or our vision is to have a teacher, a TA program after, like the teacher aid. After that, then the students can go into education themselves, and while they're doing the apprenticeship program here, they can go for teaching. So that's going to be exciting also. And then we are, this is not me, we were approached by the Department of Labor to partner up with them to do a career fair. So I can't really take credit for that, but we are working with them to do that. We're going to host that at the high school as well. So now here comes the next exciting slide. So this is the PAYS Lab. This is something that I've worked with prior to coming here to Brentwood, and I am overly excited to bring it here. This is a program for our students who might not have an idea of what they want to do or might not be able to really express what their interests are. So this is a transition assessment. It is more of a situational assessment for students where they actually go through, the best way to describe it is it's like a workstation in a classroom. So they go through different areas to learn about what their interests are, what their aptitude is, and they come in, they clock in as they would if they were working. The teacher or job coach in the classroom is then the supervisor, and the students, while they're learning, they're also being assessed. So what happens at that point is that I'm able to actually look at the data, I'm able to see what students' interests are, what their aptitude is, and then I'm able to go out and job develop. And it's really good for businesses because what happens in business is that the two main things for business is retention and training. So if we take a lot of that on, that actually increases the opportunities for businesses to hire our students. Our students will go out more prepared, and they will be able to be more successful at those jobs, and then eventually businesses will be just knocking down our door here at Brentwood to hire our students. So there's going to be a lot of other great things happening, but we will, I'm sure, report on that again. Oh, and here's another slide. So this is another thing that we've actually expanded on. We did 2 days so far with our seniors and with our juniors. So this is what is a mock interview day. We also did a resume day and a elevator pitch. So the elevator pitch is like if you were stuck in an elevator with your dream CEO, what you would say to them. And looking at the resumes, and then we ended up doing the mock interview day. So again, this was an amazing experience. We partnered with CEO, which is an agency that we work with, here at the school as well. And they brought in different businesses, and honestly, we made some great connections at that time. Some students made some fabulous connections, and we might do really great things with one of the companies that were here. But I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about that yet. So that'll be another thing that we'll hopefully bring. Thank you.
All right, awesome. So we have increased opportunities for our staff to acquire strategies and knowledge that will equip them with even more tools to address the needs of our students through professional development. Some of our professional development workshops focused on academic instruction have included creating standards-based IEPs, specially designed instruction, testing accommodations, unique learning systems, and Sunday training on the Sunday reading systems for a lot of our resource room teachers. In order to address behavioral and/or social emotional needs, we have facilitated workshops on crisis prevention intervention, also known as CPI, and also handle with care behavior de-escalation strategies and PBIS introductory strategies. We have also facilitated workshops to address the needs of our students as it relates to communication. A lot of our elementary and speech teachers have been trained in the Picture Exchange Communication System, or the PEC system, right? Okay. There's also ongoing professional development available for a lot of our staff members via a digital handbook that can be accessed through Microsoft Office Teams. Liz Sheehan and Denise Farrell offer office hours to many of our case managers on an as-needed basis at the drop of a phone call. And then we also purchased something called the Goldbook app, and the Goldbook app has virtual webinars for our teachers that they can access whenever they please. Just wanted to mention that with a few of our initiatives, regarding professional development, we've collaborated with the Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Education, the Coordinator of English Language Arts on the Sunday reading systems. And when we worked on educating our UPK staff, we coordinated with the Coordinator of Funded Programs and, again, the Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Education. All right. With regard to parent and community engagement, we've collaborated with various stakeholders to facilitate parent workshops. Our parent workshops have been fantastic opportunities to provide resources to a lot of our families. Some of the workshops have included positive behavior supports, reading is healing, and destined for greatness, which was a collaboration with the Anti-Bullying Fashion Show and the Special Education Parent Advisory Council. This year, we've continued to work with our Brentwood SEPTA to facilitate workshops. Some of the workshops that we've conducted this year include an IEP binder workshop and also a vision bottle workshop. In fact, this year, our BUFSD SEPTA recently received an award for increased membership with over 74 members in the first 2 months. We've also assisted with the implementation and promotion of district-wide initiatives like Rock Your Socks, Childhood Cancer Awareness, and Purple Up Day in honor of military children. On a monthly basis, we share a themed mental health and wellness calendar that contains activities and strategies for maintaining physical and mental health. In the month of November, Ms. Young participated in a mental health panel to discuss mental health in the classroom and beyond at the Brookhaven Town Hall. In the spring, we promoted Better Speech and Hearing Month, and also our students had the opportunity to create the inclusion tree, which you can view on Hayward Street in Brentwood. Clark Street? Oh, my apologies. On Clark Street in Brentwood. And that was a wonderful opportunity that they were invited to participate in with Uplift Brentwood. We also, and I think that's it. The rest are pictures.
So you can just go through the pictures. These are some of the events that we did with the kids and families to promote parental engagement. More pictures. All right, so special services renovations continue. I'd like to thank the Board of Education for their generous support, our superintendent, our Assistant Superintendent of Business and Finance, Ms. Stacy O'Connor, Director of Facilities, Miguel Cruz, our B&G and custodial staff, Coordinator of Information Technologies, Candace Cheng, and our IT department for the wonderful renovations at Special Services. As you can see, the renovations were needed, and we're happy that it got done. Things got done. If you go to this slide right here, it'll show you where we're going to end up. So with the construction, we started off just working with, whatever money we could get our hands on to fix things, and we didn't have much. So we started off doing one office at a time, and we were moving around the building like we were playing musical chairs, one area after the other. I was able to actually write a proposal to the state to use our ARP funds, the IDA ARP funds. And what I did was I connected our work, because we're an evaluation site for CPSE, and I was allowed to use that funding to complete the building. So the dilapidated trailers, or portables, will soon be ripped off, and you'll see there's going to be an electrical room if you look at the top of that slide, and all the electric and everything is going to be put in there. There'll be an exit on that side of the building, so the whole building is being revamped. We were able to reallocate space and actually open up 2 CSE rooms and 8 additional offices in the building. Now, it's not done yet. We expect the final renovations to be done sometime during the first quarter of next year. All right, so, I'll summarize the budget a little bit. Right here is actually where, is this good enough to just go through this, or do you want me to do the line items? Okay.
You can go through the line items for the community at large.
Okay.
And anything, and maybe my colleagues might disagree, but I would say anything that has a significant change over the year, maybe you could just give a little reasoning why. Doesn't have to be too grandiose, but just, just for simplify why the amount has.
All right. I'll try and go as fast as I can,
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, you don't have to go, there's some
Okay.
things that you really don't have to explain, but.
Okay, so A2250-1500 to A2250-1500, A2250-1500.
Rhonda, just pause a bit and I'll change from that PowerPoint to
Okay. Sorry, I was ready. Right now, I'm gonna go to this and then I'll go back. Yeah. Mhm. You doing all right?
So just for clarification, Rhonda, anything that has a zero change, we don't need to hear about.
Okay.
Just the ones that have changes,
Okay.
significant changes. Is that okay?
Right, I mean, I think that will pace it.
I know page 1 has quite a few. Do you want to give her a percentage? I mean, if something's above 15%, explanation, anything below?
I have it where it's short. I'm
Okay.
gonna go A2250 to, I have it.
Do your
written.
thing.
I
Do your
color
thing.
coded it to go fast.
All right,
Okay.
do your thing.
All right. I wait for Stacy to put it up. Okay. A2250-1500 to A2250-1500-32 are special education teacher salaries by building. This number is pretty stable. The salaries have been stable. The only changes are when staff is moving from one building to the other, a couple of retirees. A2250-1503 is the CSE teacher summer pay. A2250-1600 is a special services clerical. A2250-1650 is a new OT. A2250-1655 is a new PT. A2250-1900 to A2250-1900-32 are our one-to-one health aides by building. Salaries have been pretty stable. A2250-1910 to A2250-1910-32 is our overtime for our one-to-one health aides. That's been pretty stable. A2250-1920 to A2250-1920 to A2250-1920-32 are TA salaries by building. This has been really relatively stable with a few building transfers and resignations. A2250-1925 to A2250-1925-32 is overtime for TAs by building. A224,000 is our contractual. That's where it went up a great deal, 900%, and that's because we had to contract for TAs. So that's staff shortages. A22504,000 is our program handicap contractual. We didn't use that. McKinney-Vento homeless, which is A2250-4400, is reported by the registration office, I believe. A2250-4455 is program handicap hearing officer. We haven't had any impartial hearings, so that has been the same. A22, I should not, but there's no wood here. A2250-4465 is our, I believe that's our occupational therapist, materials and supplies, and that's been pretty stable. A2250-4466 is our physical therapist supplies and materials. That's been pretty stable. A2250-4700-20 is our tuition for a high cost attending private. A2250-4780 is our cell phones, and that we don't really use them, so that's been pretty stable. A2250-4800 textbooks, that's been centralized, and that's why there's a negative 50,000 from there. A2250-4802 we did not allocate funds to. A2250-4900 is our BOCES high cost, and that increased substantially because of the students that we're getting with significant needs. A2250-5001 to A2250-5002 is our program handicap. That's the PT, OT, materials and supplies that we did not allocate funding to. A2250-5010, an increase in purchasing AT devices and materials. So there's an increase in assistive technology devices, and that's why that number went up. These are A2250-5030 all the way down to A2250-5210. That's the arts and crafts, music. We do give money to the music, art department, library, and all of those numbers have been pretty stable. The A2250-5110 is actually supplemental materials, and that's been, I mean, we allocated 2,000 there, but we haven't really used that. I don't know, just in case, I guess we need it. A2250, the total expenses in that area increased by 8.16%. So the total expense in that area is $62,966,669. The changes of $4,751,575. A2251-1600 to 1601 is our Medicaid account clerk, and her overtime is the next number, 1601. A2255 to, I didn't give you the total, so 2251, it went up by 4.57%, and the total proposed budget in that area is $85,761. A2255 1500 to A2255 1500-32 is resource room teachers by building. It's been pretty stable. You'll see the large numbers go down and up based on building transfers. And resource room teachers are moved according to need. A2255 4461, we use that budget for many of our MDQ kids. That number would probably go down, but we have also been using it for contracted providers. A2255 4700 are district residents attending private or parochial schools. We really have no control over that budget. It was a 22.88% increase, but that's parents choosing to send their kids to parochial. A2255 4760 is a staff mileage for resource room teachers. A2255 5000 is materials for our resource room teachers. A2255 5010 is materials and supplies for resource room teachers. A2255 5,020 was not used. A2255-5100 is PE. A2255-5210 is the library. There was, the total proposed budget is 5,920,000, and it's 629,632%. Increase is 14.40%. A2260-1500 to A2250, 1500-32 are our speech teachers by building, and you'll see the numbers fluctuate based on the need. A22, and they did increase a little bit in some areas because the need for speech has gone up. We're getting a lot of kids with speech deficits. A2260, 1502 is speech teachers summer pay. A2260.1600 is speech clerical. A2260.1601 is overtime for speech clericals. The next budget line is 2260-2000 and 2260-4005. That's our speech equipment and our outside specialists. We haven't really used a lot of money, so no funding was allocated in those areas. A224461 is our speech purchase services. That's been pretty stable. I don't know what the next one, I can't even see it, to be honest. Oh, speech public tuition. We didn't use that. A2260-4700 is, that's speech public tuition. That's a purchase services. A224760 is speech travel. That's mileage reimbursement. A2260-5000 is speech materials and supplies. It's been pretty stable. The total proposed budget in the area of speech is $4,398,113, and it didn't go up that much, less than 1%. Okay, the next budget line, you know what it is? I tried to color code this, and I can't even see it. But I think those, you're not going to be able to see it if I can. It's in blue.
You want to watch one?
It's in blue.
Dark blue.
Yeah, it may help me. Where am I at? Right here. Health instructional salaries? Okay.
That's the nurses.
Okay, so A2815-1500 to A2816, well, no, that's the health instructional salaries. Who is that, Stacy? No, but for instructional. Okay, so it's the administrators in there. Then. All right, A281600 is our nurses, 1600 to 1600-32, 1620-32 it says. That's our RNs by building. And then I want to go back here because I can't see that good. A281620-32 is our RNs by building. I said that. A2815-1900 are our office health aides by building, and it goes all the way to A2815-1900-32. Then we go to A2815-1910, our health aid salary, that get overtime. That's been pretty stable by building. It goes all the way to building 32. And then we get to health services contract. That's the Brentwood ambulance. Sometimes they offer CPR classes to our health aides and nurses, and we pay for that out of that budget code. A28, I think, what is that? A2815-4490. That's the health services from other districts. We didn't allocate funding there. A28164651 is the equipment for health services. That's what we use to maintain our audiometers yearly and recalibrate parts. A28154760 are mileage reimbursement for our nurses. A28154900 pretty stable. A28, 5,000 is materials and supplies. This decreased substantially because we're not doing the COVID testing. A28, 15, 50, is the health computers. We didn't allocate anything. The total proposed budget is $3,597,238. In that area, there's a 15.64% increase. We go into psychologist salaries, so A2820, 1,500 all the way to A2820, 1,500-32 are our psychologists by building. And then we go to A2820, 1,600, that's our clerical in the site services department. A2820, 1,601 is the clerical overtime. A28 2,000 to A28 4760 and A28 20 5,000. That's our site services equipment, which is stable. A site services travel, stable, didn't increase, and site services materials and supplies. The total proposed budget for site services is $2,446,711. There was a 23.5% decrease in that area, and like I said, I believe it's because we're not doing the tested related to COVID. A2825, 1,500, all the way to A2825, 1,500-32 are our social workers by building. And this area increased because several of our social workers were on grants and they're rolling back into the general fund. Okay. A2825, 1,502 is the summer salaries for social workers when they sit committee or do evaluations over the summer. A2825, 4760, mileage reimbursement, and A2825, 5,000 is social work materials. So the total allocated for social work, proposed budget is $2,009,057. And in that area, it went up by 25.68%. Our total special ed proposed budget is $80,504,469. The entire budget went up by 7.43%. Can you please go back to the PowerPoint?
This is what you want.
So
What you need.
I wanted you all to look at the budget highlights, and just to convey that our budget did go up in our BOCES high costs. We went up in our private handicap, but I think it's good that we went up in private handicap because BOCES is a lot more expensive and we do get more reimbursement aid back for private handicap, but we have to apply to BOCES first, and because BOCES ran out of space, we were able to apply to private. So that's a good thing. And then everything else is pretty much, we're going to go down at MDQ because obviously MDQ is closing here in Brentwood, right, for the school age program?
They are. They're K through 12.
Yep.
Moving to Home Access Academy.
Right, so,
We have yet to find out exactly what's happening.
okay. So, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act of 2004, the IDEA, requires each state to have a state performance plan that evaluates its efforts to implement the requirements and purposes of the IDEA and describe how the state will improve results for students with disabilities. The SSP must include baseline data, measurable and rigorous targets for a 6-year period. So each indicator you look at every 6 years. There's 17 indicators in total, but the local education agencies have to report on 14. the priorities of the IDA is they're going to give us money, because that's what they do. They give a lot of funding, and I'm going to get into that. But their priority is for states to provide students with disabilities with a free and appropriate education in the least restrictive environment, to, be mindful of disproportionality and effective general supervision of Part B, including Part C, and those are funding sources. So we're always getting audited. We have to report all the time to the state. So when people say they shouldn't do that, listen, they have a direct line to my office. When a parent makes a complaint, I get it immediately. And they don't want, excuses. They want me to resolve the issue. That's how it works. So I do have a regional officer assigned to me. If you go to the next slide, these are the different performance indicators that they look at. And I don't know if you could see those indicators. It's very hard to see it there, but they look at graduation rates. They look at classification rates. They look at, everything, post-secondary outcomes, the amount of students that are being classified with a particular disability. And we have to report on all of these things. They look at the early childhood transition plans. They look at the child find if we're catching kids. So we have to put procedures in place so that we can identify kids that may have a disability. So there's all these things. Least restrictive environment is a big one that they pay attention to, because obviously that's one of the 3 priorities. So we get, the ones in red are for the state. We don't really report on that, but the state does, and it's based on it's impartial hearing requests, systemic improvement, and mediation agreements. Okay? Sorry about that. So we get 2 large grants from the Part B formula grants. And these grants are provided to, obviously, to provide a free and appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment. We get the 611 grant, and that's for children ages 3 through 21. And the 619 grant is for students 3 through 5. I mentioned Part C, but we don't really get involved with Part C because that's a preschool funding. So we received ARP funding also, and the ARP funding we received was from July 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2023. And that money was the money that we were able to use part of it to fix the building. If you look at the left side of that slide, you'll see that most of those grants cover salaries that are not even on the general fund's budget. If you go to the next slide, this slide demonstrates the funding we get reimbursed from the state and the county. So we have 3 funding sources that we get reimbursement from: the state, the county, and the federal government, which was the previous slide, okay? The New York State Education Department STAC and Medicaid unit is responsible for processing requests for reimbursement for the cost of providing services to preschool and school-age students placed in special education programs. This funding typically takes 2 years to get back, but we file for STAC every year. So yes, it costs money to educate our kids, but we get a lot of that money back. So if you look up there, you could see that we spent like $1,991,277 in our state-supported programs. We got back 80% of that money. Now, it doesn't come back in one check. It comes back, in 2 parts, I believe. Stacy, is that correct? It comes back in 2 parts?
Yeah, it's a few parts.
Yeah. And so, but within 2 years, you do get the entire amount back. So the left column is the eligible expenses that we were able to stack for. We cannot stack for everything. there is a formula to this. So the formula for stack is the tuition rate, right, minus the threshold. So the threshold is roughly $43,000. You subtract whatever the tuition is for a student from the threshold, right? The threshold from the tuition, and then you multiply by the FTE, and then you multiply that number by the excess cost ratio, and then that's the reimbursement cost. That's what you get back. All right? So we get back a lot. All in all, we got back 36%. So in 2021, we spent $58,433,332, and we got back 36.6% of that money. Because I believe that the state and federal government, they don't want any excuses from the school districts. They're providing the money for us to meet the needs of the students we serve. Okay? We also get money back in Medicaid reimbursement. If you look there, that's a different funding stream, so we're able to bill Medicaid for the related services that we provide students. Now, we can't bill Medicaid for all the counseling services because in order to bill Medicaid, psychologists have to be licensed psychologists, and to hire a psychologist in the schools, they only are required to be certified. Okay. Next slide. We get back money in CPSC administrative costs, and we get back money for evaluations. So last year we started doing the CPSC evaluations, and we got back $79,068, and that was only basically from one evaluator. In 2021-22, okay? So then if you look here, these are the different years. We just got back the 2021, and that's for the people that sit on CPSC committee, and that offsets their salaries. So that was $283,054 that we got back. All right. So social and emotional supports. Many students are entering kindergarten with extremely limited communication, social, and academic skills. Some students are completely nonverbal and were never toilet trained. There's an increased need for mental and emotional health supports. There's a significant learning gaps among students in all grade levels. Aggressive behaviors, elopement, destructive outbursts have increased significantly in all grade levels, especially in the primary grades. Students are having difficulty with self-regulation, executive functioning, decision-making. Parents are reporting maladaptive behaviors at home, school refusal, depression, and anxiety. There's an increase in in-school and out-of-school suspensions, as well as with students presenting with suicidal ideations. Out-of-district and some private programs are running out of space. If you look at the next slide, in a 4-year comparison, according to our Brentwood Union Free School District data reports, the number of suicide interventions in the in-district increased by 88% between 2018, 2019 to 2021, 2022. It's 252 interventions. Although we increased the number of psychologists by 16.6% and social workers by 40% this past year, the demands in our PPS staff has been challenging due to the effects of the pandemic on social emotional health, mandated caseloads, and CSC responsibilities. All students with IEPs are required to be reevaluated every 3 years. That means that they have to have updated testing. Many students require bilingual testing. We are having a difficult time hiring bilingual psychologists. We recently hired social workers, which increased our ability to help our students. However, we still need more. The district currently has 46 school counselors, 27 psychologists, and 21 social workers on staff. The student to counselor ratio is 387 to 1 compared to the recommended ratio of 250 to 1 by the American School Counselor Association. And the student to psychologist ratio is estimated at 660 to 1 compared to the recommended ratio of 500 to 1 for providing comprehensive school psychological services by the National Association of School Psychologists. The student to social worker ratio is estimated at 849 to 1 compared to the recommended ratio of 250 to 1 for providing comprehensive school social worker services by the School Social Work of America Association. Next slide. The buildings listed above are well above, go back one, Stacy. The buildings listed above are well above the recommended ratio. The ratios suggest that there is a need for additional social workers and psychologists. Okay, so you can see those ratios are pretty high. All right, next slide. The management needs of a student with autism presenting with significant behaviors is very different from the management needs of a student with an emotional disability, ADHD, or aggressive behaviors. Children diagnosed with autism or with characteristics of such may display behaviors like perseveration, lack of reasoning skills, and a lack of verbal communication skills. A student with ADHD, emotionally disabled, and oppositional defiance disorder are able to communicate. They are unable to self-regulate. They tend to be manipulative and are looking for a sense of control. These two types of students may require different learning environments. We need, we have level 4 classes, and I think that we need to look at that model, and I'll get into that. It's a couple of slides later. The next slide, please. Our students require additional preparation for college, career readiness, and parents require more support with navigating the OPWDD and Access VR process. Next slide. Today, with the updated guidelines for UPK students, the demand to process this paperwork for this school year has increased by 775 UPK students, creating a need for additional staffing for data entry. We also have a need for additional nurses, teacher aides, special education aides, occupational therapists, behavior specialists, and bilingual psychologists. A need for additional support to cover assistive technology, 504s, CSCs, CPSC meetings, and a need for additional training on de-escalation techniques. Where do we go from here? Well, Abraham Lincoln said the best way to predict the future is to create it. So to improve the social, emotional health, and behavioral supports, we'd like to provide crisis prevention and intervention training, additional support in that area, provide continued professional development on specially designed instruction, support social, emotional learning by building school mental health partnerships that provide professional development opportunities, crisis, and wraparound support. And I'm looking at trying to create a partnership with PM Pediatrics, but we're looking at other places that offer these partnerships as well. To improve college and career readiness, we'd like to increase the number of students receiving a career development and occupational studies commencement credential, improve career opportunities, career and technical education, apprenticeships, and career assessment and planning. To build our capacity to serve students, we'd like to expand partnerships with universities to provide opportunities to place post-secondary education graduate students into our elementary and secondary schools to complete required fieldwork, credit hours, internships, and related training. And I think that would be a great way for us to build our capacity with psychologists and social workers, bring in those graduate students and, have them get the experience, and they can also help out with servicing the students. Hire a dedicated BCBA or ABA specialist. I think this will decrease the number of students going to out-of-district placements by offering the behavioral support and having someone pushing into the classrooms. Hire 3 additional TOSAs to support out-of-district placements, OTPT, assistive technology, CSC, 504, and CPSC. As you saw in the previous slides, the number of meetings are going through the roof, and you need people to sit on committee. Many of our retirees don't want a chair anymore. They want to really retire. So we're losing help in that area. We'd like to create a new level 4 program, a 1211 for students with autism or with characteristics of autism. We would like to recruit a bilingual psychologist to complete, well, we need 2 of them, a bilingual psychologist to complete evaluations. We have one of our bilingual psychologists retiring, and many of our students require assessments in their native language. We'd like to recruit school nurses, special education aides, and teacher aides. One way I would like to recruit school nurses is to develop a tuition reimbursement partnership with Suffolk Community College for nursing graduates that commit to working in our schools. The entire program at Suffolk Community College is only $20,000. So if we do a tuition reimbursement, if they commit to working in Brentwood for, a number of years, then I think it would be a great idea. Hire 2 additional teachers to support autistic students with behaviors that may be managed in an in-district setting. Hire a TOSA, and that's for the level 4 that I mentioned. Hire a TOSA to support elementary teachers at the level 4. So not only do we want to create these 2 classes, but we want to provide teachers that are dealing with students with our most significant behavioral needs, the support they need. So we'd like to take a veteran teacher that's been in those classrooms with proven success and have that teacher push in and offer support to all the level 4 classes. Okay? We also introduced the modified problem-based physical science lab research class at the high school, where we'll be introducing it next year. All right. This is a slide just showing you the different level 4. We'd like to start out with K1, that would be 1 teacher, and then we do the next 1211 for the autism with grades 2, 3 mix, and then as the program evolves, then we would have to hire additional staff. I already did it. All right, so if you go to the next slide right here, it just talks about providing additional support. I'm not going to read through this whole slide. I already spoke about having the special ed teacher with a proven track record push in. We would also like to have actually counselors and autism specialists come in and push into those classes as well to provide support. Because kids with behavior don't do well when you're pulling them out. So we want to offer push and support to those students. We'd like to hire a certified or someone with experience in assistive technology, because we have all of these devices and we're providing students the support. And to tell you the truth, they need to be independent. The state testing is moving in that direction. They're coming away from human reader to give testing accommodations, and they're providing the headphones for our students to have the test read to them by the computer. And I think that's what our kids have to face. They're not going to have a human with them sitting next to them hand over hand. So they need to learn how to use these devices to access the curriculum independently, especially at the high school level. So that's something that we've been rolling out, we're working on. When you take a kid that needs a reading accommodation to get a permit, they're putting on headphones. So this is the final slide. So what we need is we need approximately 8 special education teachers. Now, this is off a little bit because, like I said, there are so many meetings that have not been finalized. There are new referrals that are outstanding, so we don't even know where those students are going. It's early for us. We just went into annual review season in January. So 8 is where we're at now. That number may increase. Psychologists and social workers, like I said, I don't want to break the bank. I think that we can build partnerships, and we're working on that, and have our graduate students that are, pursuing fields in psychology, school counseling, and social work come in and help our staff. But we do need at least 4. We need 2 additional social workers to support the buildings, and we need 2 psychologists, bilingual psychologists. And we really need to offer an incentive because they're very hard to come by. Clericals. We need clericals to help with uploading information. I said that a new regulation came out regarding the immunization records for the preschool students. Our nurses are inundated, they review it, but we don't have the appropriate staff to upload those, input the data. So we need help in that area. The high school department head and the transition coordinator need a secretary, and the CPSC office needs an additional secretary with the reopening of EIP. We need 4 TOSAs. I explained why we needed them for CPSC, Assistive Technology, OTPT, 504, and to help with the CSEs and CPSC meetings. We need a job coach, and we need OTs. So we needed 2 job coaches and 1 OT so far, and that's right, 1 OT. So it's 22 staff members. A job coach is going to go in and support kids in the, like our ungraded population. If we have them working in a facility, a kitchen, they need someone to supervise them. So it's supervised employment. Yeah. Any questions? All right. Well, we're proud to serve the Brentwood community. And that's my staff, and I just have to say, without the folks at Special Services, my administrative team, and our special education teachers and related service providers, support staff, we couldn't do what we do. I mean, everybody works so hard, people don't even understand what we do. That's how hard they work. Thank you.
So first and foremost, we'd like to thank you and your staff and everyone here this evening. We know how hard you guys work. We know how basically you're bursting at the seams. We know that there's been an increase in behaviors since COVID, and we're just trying to figure it all out as we go along. There's shortages everywhere. We're cognizant of that fact, and we know you guys are doing miracles. And we appreciate it. And as you know, and maybe some of you in the audience don't know, basically about 7 people on the 7 board members, we've all had children that have required special services. So we do understand firsthand how important your department is to our district. So we thank you. Any questions from my colleagues?
I have a couple of comments. I echo everything Ms. Felix has said. Thank you so much. I know a tremendous amount of work went into this. Thank you. We're going to take some time to absorb it because it is a lot.
Yes.
But I do want to say, just special thank yous all around. And I want to say especially to Ms. Gross, thank you so much, because I see all the new programs that you're bringing in, opportunities for our students to really engage in career paths and different opportunities. So I'm so excited about that. Thank you. And thank you, Rhonda, for facilitating that and the rest of the staff.
I told you she was the right person.
Yeah, no, you were right. You were right.
I'm sure I can say that while she was reading, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, we can
like,
Good
wow.
hire.
Like, I'm gonna bring Joe back.
So I also want to say, you know, I agree and approve, and I wish that we could, you know, meet all of the needs of our level 4 students in district. I have a level 4 grandson who is currently attending an out-of-district program, and I just can't tell you how I really do wish that he could become integrated back into the district, into gen ed populations, and have some positive role models. Because one of the biggest things that I struggle with, he has no positive role models where he is. He's in a school where every single student has been pushed out of their district because of behavior problems. So all of his models are just that. So I really do wish that we can bring some changes to that department, as well as meeting the needs of the autistic children that I know we have an increased need for. I also have questions, I guess, about EIP. I know we did away with EIP. You know, I was getting a little emotional. I spent 24 years in EIP, so I know very well the work that was done. It just breaks my heart to hear about all the kindergarten students with all of the difficulties. And I know COVID had a lot to do with it. We had no idea, you know, when we did away with EIP, that we were going to be faced with these increased challenges. And I just can't stress enough, thank you, Aileen, how we should really prioritize, you know, paying attention to these preschoolers before they get into our kindergarten population, so that we can really target those behaviors and educational needs, you know, all of those pieces, developmental needs that really need to be put in place so that they can be successful, so that they can start their school careers with a higher level of functioning. You know, even things as toileting. I know, you know, toileting has dominated our conversations, it seems, you know, unfortunately around these children, but it's just a huge concern. So I hope that we're able to bring back EIP in a fuller capacity than we currently are. You know, even
Well, we have 5 classes so far. We have 1 integrated co-teaching class, and then we brought back 4 classes, so we were able to hire 2 teachers so far. I think spacing is the issue. So if we could get, I think, are you going down in space, Ann? Yeah. Okay, so we have to wait and see how things pan
Right.
out, but if space opens up, then I'm sure Mr. Loshner is very willing to open up.
Right. I know we did away with portables and we don't want to bring them back, but you know, building is an issue. You know, building use and having space is an
Right.
issue. So something I know we're looking into. Hopefully we'll have some resolution soon, but you know, I hope some of that does get allocated towards the early intervention population. And again, you know, we are not at fault. Like, we had no idea that all of this, and we really thought honestly that the EIP children would be able to be serviced with our,
Right.
you know, outside facilities, and it just didn't work out that way.
Yeah, they're at capacity, unfortunately.
So we're you know, hopefully going to be able to reinstate this. I have a question for Ms. Gross. I know you mentioned the transition fair is going to be held in Comac, like a combined. I just want to make sure that our parents from Brentwood that do have language barriers are going to have those needs met, you know, because they're going to be traveling to another district, and I'm not sure that, you know, I just want to make sure that those needs are being addressed as well.
Yes, they will be, but I'll make sure that a lot of the agencies are already aware of that and are sending to the staff that they're already.
Okay. Okay. And I do want to stay open to maybe at some point holding some kind of a transition fair here in our own district, because I think that we have a large enough population that we could really,
I
you
agree
know,
with that.
you know, have a real basis for doing that. So I hope that that's something we can work towards. I have other things, but I just can't even like wrap my head around all of them right now, because it is
a lot.
And we cut out like 20 slides.
That's the abbreviated version.
This is the shortened version. Yesterday was the longer version.
So I'll give you my final thoughts, and, you know, of course, being a social worker, I have a vested interest in this, but I also have some experience. We had 21 social workers back in the 80s and 90s when our population was possibly not as large and our needs were not as diverse and as large as they are now. So I just want to really stress that even though, yes, we've increased 40% and we've increased psychologists, we do have a tremendous need in this area. And a lot of children have not been able to learn because they have these other needs that need to be addressed. So I would like to also stress that to my colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we all agree with that, Julie. I know I was on this board too when we made that decision, and I think you and I were both in tears sitting over there. It was a difficult because EIP definitely did wonders for my son. Without it, I don't even want to think about it, but it did help him, so grateful. It got me crying now. Put your crumb cakes up here. Anybody else have anything?
If I could just say a few comments, Ms. Felix?
Sorry, of course.
First, I would like to thank Ms. Young and her staff. They are really an incredible staff. You know, when, wait, are we still crying over that? Oh, we're gonna take a crying break here. Hang on a second.
Sorry.
So when we hired Rhonda, to take over special services, she's always been driven by ideas and driven by helping our special education kids, and all kids. But, the special education kids in particular, she advocates for and fights for like you could not believe. And thankfully, she has surrounded herself, looking at the administration here, the administrators who feel the same way. Every time I talk to them, they are really pushing for the best of our kids. And quite frankly, this presentation was incredible. It really is. It's in-depth, and a couple of reasons behind it. Number one, I think Rhonda and her team are extremely proud of the work that they do. But they also don't sit back on their laurels. They could easily just kind of continue status quo. But as you see, this is, I think, her third year now presenting, and every year she comes to us with ideas that she wants to really put in play. And to tell you the truth, she really does. All the ideas she comes up with, eventually, by hook or crook, they are actually they're actually in the district. As a matter of fact, we've mentioned Ms. Gross, but really all of our the assistant coordinators, Sean, Garvin, April, Karen, the whole team here. Yes. They really are tremendous. But I was going to point out that the transition coordinator, most of us never really even heard of until Rhonda started speaking about it a couple of years ago. And the assistant coordinators that she asked for also was an idea, really a brilliant idea, and they've done remarkable work for us and have really helped so many kids that maybe families and kids don't see them on a daily basis, but what they've done is really a tremendous and I'm really incredibly proud. A lot of times I'm floored, I have to be honest with you, and I'm overcome by how passionate she is, particularly in our cabinet meetings. We have quite a few knockdown, drag-out arguments back and forth that last a little longer than we want, but it's always because she's pushing and pushing and pushing. Lots of these staff members we obviously have to go over. Obviously we wish, I'm sure the board agrees, we could just snap our fingers and say, let's take it, every one of your ideas. I will say every one of the ideas are well thought out, there's reasoning behind them. And like I said, I'm sure the board agrees with me that they'd love to say, yes, we do have to go back to our drawing board and see, exactly how we're going to allocate all of our funds. But I do want to say that, again, not to repeat myself, it's just a tremendous department. And they also are, as Ms. Young said, and we can't overstate it, they are dealing with some difficult issues that just, 4 years ago was not even on the radar. And, kids and families are still suffering and recovering from the pandemic, or lots of reasons. So, we can't really blame it all on the pandemic, obviously, but for some reason, the dynamics of some kids have changed dramatically. And it's not unique to Brentwood. I know everybody here are all educators, and you are all educators in some capacity, and you talk to other districts. It's across the state and across the country. We're kind of still reeling for some reason. And our kids are vulnerable, our pre-K. That's why, honestly, we brought back EIP because Rhonda, and again, her staff, we were in meetings, and Rhonda said she had the exact number. I forget exactly what it was. Might have been 77 kids or something along those lines, where she said they're not getting the services because our CBOs are full, and we're not giving them the proper services. We have to open up a class. And she pushed and pushed and pushed, and we, obviously this semester we opened up those classes, and thankfully we're able to take some of our kids in. So, I think Rhonda and her entire staff do a tremendous job making sure kids don't fall through the cracks. And that's just a perfect example. They're not really even in front of us, and she's worrying about them, and which is really commendable. So, just a great presentation.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, the 4 classes, they're not exactly open yet, but they will be open because we're still going through the hiring process.
Right.
We have to have the teachers, okay? But they'll start as soon as, you hire the teachers.
Right, and to your point, Julie and Eileen, when we did, not to belabor the point, but when we closed it, I know it was very difficult for all of us, and Rhonda was a part of that, but we really did think that our CBOs would be able to accommodate our students. Mm-hmm. And again, like BOCES, like our district, we're just overwhelmed with some of these issues, and that's why there are no seats available. I mean, they tried everything possible, and that's why I think EIP, we're bringing classes back this year, and we may have to continue to do that because we won't let kids not be serviced, particularly if they need it, obviously.
So I have one more question, probably more for you, Stacy, about the reimbursement that we get back for, the 80% for the teachers and all those other percentages we saw. I'm guessing that that's reflected in our budget as income, right?
Yeah, that comes on the revenue side. You
Okay.
see it in our state aid.
Right, on the revenue side. But when we get that, does that go back into the special ed department, for example? If we get 80%,
general
does
fund.
it go back into the general budget to be distributed? And do we take that into account for programming for the future? I mean, obviously, we have to allocate the money. But if we get, for example, this year, I know we're spending more money. So 3 or 4 years from now, we're going to be getting a larger reimbursement, right? So hopefully we can plan ahead for that and be ready to use it.
You are making Miss Young extremely happy.
I know, I see her shaking.
I put the slide.
But I mean, it's just an obvious question.
Stacy and I sit across the table from Rhonda when we say, "Oh my God, you're spending all of this money," and she yells right back, "But I get it back, I get it back." And she does.
Something to think
Understand.
about,
They see the clericals at special services, they don't understand. There are account clerks in there that's working hard, because
To
it's
get us money back.
verification you have to do. They're not all sitting around. It's a lot of different work that happens there to bring that money. No one else is bringing money in like that.
She likes to say that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to say construction does.
That's right, we do get money back. That's right.
True.
Transportation.
Yeah, well.
I just want, moving forward, to make that part of our conversations, that, we are getting this money back, that hopefully we're going to be able to reintegrate into the budget and reallocate for things that our students need.
Yeah, it goes back into the general fund, and Stacy does, identify that
sure.
as revenue.
Yeah, and we talk as a cabinet and with the board as well about the needs of all of the district, and then that's where we target the revenue to meet our needs at that time.
I just want to offset the thought processes that I know have been out there for a long time, that we have to plan for the future. Not that we don't have to, but that we have to be extra careful because we may run out of money. And this is another source of money that we really do need to keep in mind when we have these conversations, that, we have some kind of a flow coming back into our district.
Right.
Thank you. So thank you for joining us in being the defenders of the defenseless.
I appreciate your support.
You're welcome. Okay. I need a motion to adjourn the special meeting and workshop at 8:40 p.m.
Motion.
Motion by Cindy Seferi. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Maria Gonzalez. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.